What I've found through my 20 years of experience is that, everything is marketed towards women. And it's like, why? You know why? Because we're the biggest spenders.
I knew why.
And the smartest. And the smartest.
We are the smartest.
Smartest spenders. Doing numbers, take one. Only take.
What's up, y'all? Get ready to break it down and level up. Welcome to Doing Numbers, your number one financial literacy podcast in the world. Clap it up. I'm your host, Olu.
I'm your host, Scott.
So bring your pen and pad because it's about to get real.
That's a fact.
What's happening, Scott?
Another day in paradise, Jack.
How you feeling today?
I'm energized today.
You energized?
I am, man.
What brought the energy?
I woke up with intentionality today, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I want to drive a change in my community today. You know what I'm saying?
Give us one strategy in being intentional with the day.
With the day. Purpose-driven life, man. I think pen to pad is the most unexercised practice that we fall short on in our communities, right? Like, we think we could hold everything up here, right? But we struggle with the scrambled eggs of our brain on a day-to-day.
It's true.
Like, easily distracted. But if you put it on paper, it's permanent. You know what I'm saying?
And we can always go back and look at it.
Very much so.
Yeah, man. I'm a victim to just trying to keep everything stored up in here. People say I got a big head, so I try to use the full circumference of it.
For real?
I try to. You see?
God damn. No.
But no, man. I've started to write things down. I actually got like 3 whiteboards in my house.
Dope.
That I just kind of go off and bounce ideas off of. I actually put a great presentation together. Actually, that 401k presentation that was whiteboarded. That was whiteboarded.
Good work.
That was whiteboarded, man. It was.
We got a lot of good feedback on that one.
Really?
We did.
Oh, cool, man. You ain't tell me about that.
Yeah, man. They say you got to wash your hands, but it was cool.
Tell them to come holler at me, man.
I got you.
I'll get them together. Don't worry about it.
Problem,
me and my team,
problem.
man. That's what we do. But we got a great person on today, man. I met her actually at a networking event, and that's why networking is so important, man. Make sure y'all go out there and network.
Do that.
Network.
Shake some
hands.
hands.
It really does build the net worth. It is not a joke. It is not a myth. It is not a gimmick. You go out there, you talk to people, have a level of confidence about yourself and what you do. Be intentional with your conversations, man. You start landing great opportunities like today.
Absolutely.
So I met this wonderful young lady, man. And what's crazy is that she just actually walked up to me and John and introduced herself. And I was like, damn, I don't feel like a man. I ain't introduced myself to this wonderful lady.
She caught you off guard.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be ready for women that step into their own purpose and their own life.
No,
bro.
she definitely knows her purpose and walks it really well. So
yeah, we gotta applaud that.
Yes. So I want to
doing that.
I want to talk about her and bring her on to here in our show so she can, highlight a lot of wonderful things that she has going on. She's amazing. I was going through her bio, and man, I'm excited for the episode.
Me
so
too.
I got some energy too.
Okay, good.
So, man, we have a tax and wealth strategist on board with us today, y'all. Entrepreneurship enthusiast and economic activist. A former Wall Street pro turned money maven, Shaniqua Nicole has spent 17 plus years helping business owners scale with confidence. As the founder of Money Maven Club, she blends expert financial strategies with a fun, no-nonsense approach to money. Gotta have no nonsense when it comes to that money, man. You can't be playing around. Folks playing around with that money out
Need my money on time.
Through her media company, Black Wealth Weekly magazine and podcast, she celebrates Black wealth stories and journeys. Wow. Beyond business, she's a proud mom to 2 brilliant boys, young entrepreneurs, investors, and future pro athletes. Love that. Love that. Whether breaking down business growth, wealth building, or money mindset shifts, she brings energy, authenticity, and real talk to every conversation. So without further ado, y'all, I'd like to introduce our next guest, Shaniqua Nicole.
What's going on, Kings? How are you
Welcome,
guys?
What's up? We doing great. How you feeling?
I'm amazing. I'm super excited to be here.
Man, we appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes,
I had double booked by mistake. Ooh, y'all, these schedules.
No,
but we are here. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm ready to dive into it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
So, I want to start out by asking, Well, one, you've had an impressive transition from Wall Street to now becoming a money maven and entrepreneur expert. Can you walk us through, your Wall Street journey, how you got involved in that? What inspired you to even go that route? Because I know it's some sharks out there on Wall Street.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I ended up working on Wall Street for 10 years.
Okay.
Now, to be honest, I really felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. My parents taught me go to college, get a job. I did that. I went to business school. I got a degree in finance, and I'm working on Wall Street. I'm living the dream.
Yeah.
Right? But then I found myself next to, people that were like in their 30s and 40s and had kids. And I'm like, y'all raising y'all family off of this check?
Right.
I just didn't see that for me, So I love what Wall Street did for me as far as my mentality around money. I started working on Wall Street at 19. So at a super young age, I was managing these billion-dollar portfolios. And so I feel like the difference that I've seen in my life versus the other people is that helped me look at numbers, like the podcast, as literally just numbers. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, and what I've learned over my 20-year career working with clients is that, numbers is not just numbers. People attach emotions to money,
Facts.
right? You get money, you feel happy. You lose money, you feel sad. You feel defeated. It might mess up your ego. Really early on in my career, I learned how to just look at money objectively and take the emotions out of it. And I think that's really been a big secret for me. Not a secret, but, a big edge that I've had. When it comes to building wealth and, really being able to look at somebody's numbers and tell a story with it.
Yeah, I like that. One thing that I do, I like to use money IQ as like the tool to figure out, where people are emotionally with money. How smart are you with money, about money, the conversation of money. And it's helped. It does give you a good understanding of who you're dealing with before you even really like get into the granular parts of what's needed in order to build wealth. So
I love that. So you do this for clients or what? Who do you do this for?
Yes, I do this for clients.
Okay.
I'm a financial planner, and so I help people move their money around and things of that nature. Help them just, build a better bridge so it doesn't crumble before they cross it.
There we go.
So
I love that.
That's what I do, and that's a part of, my, I guess, observation when it comes to clients and how we deal with them. So to hear you talk about the emotions of money and how it does fluctuate someone's mindset, it's true, because I'm a victim of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
At points, now I've gotten better, now that I understand it a lot more and educated myself, which is the most important thing, educate.
Yeah.
I have a different outlook on it.
Right. And you know what? The thing is that you really don't know what you don't know.
Facts.
Right? And so even though I've been working in money my whole career for 20 years, I'll be 38 this year, I still find, I'm still learning. I'm learning my way around different things. And so I'll tell you this, the pandemic was good. Everything was good. Business is good. When things are good, we feel great.
Nice.
Right? And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to try to invest in real estate. Took the biggest loss I've ever taken in life. Wow. And it really hurt me. It hurt my ego, I would say. Like, I felt like I had to rebuild my confidence when it comes to investing because I was like, well, dang, I never lost this much money. I've never risked this much money. Right. So I had to like really reimagine who I am mentally, spiritually, and then of course financially, to put myself back out there into the investing world because I was a little depressed. I ain't gonna lie.
I feel you, but you learn lessons through that. You know what I mean, and that's what brought you back out here. And you seem to be stronger than ever. Just hearing things that you got going on. You definitely learned lessons through that loss. So I wouldn't necessarily consider it a loss.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So you definitely got some lessons
Probably
out there.
felt like a loss at the time. Though,
at the time.
for sure.
At the time.
At the time.
At the time.
But you shook it off. You
and
had
it
now.
will be. It will be a loss if I don't take the lessons and get better.
There you go.
With it.
And I also heard that, it's not a loss unless you withdraw it. So you hadn't withdrawn anything. You know what I mean? So you right back into it with full force. And that's amazing.
I love it. Thank you so much.
So through your work with Black Wealth Weekly Magazine and podcast, you celebrating Black wealth stories. So why is it important to spotlight Black wealth stories, Black entrepreneurs, and the journeys that they've been on.
Absolutely. I love that. Oh my gosh. So, there's a study out there that says that Black wealth is going to go to zero by like 2053. We're going to be alive for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all know that?
Yeah.
So whose job is it to counteract what is supposed to be a future that we can see and predict? I feel like that's our responsibility.
Yep.
So one way that I've been able to give back from the people that I've learned from, right? I've been investing in mentors for a long time. I've met some amazing people here in Atlanta, entrepreneurs. So I feel like I had got to a point like, what can I do to share this information with other people? I can teach, but it's so much better to learn from that expert. So that's what really sparked my idea to create the media company, because I'm like, people can't afford to pay $10,000 to be in mentorship. People can't afford $50,000 to be in these rooms. Some people can't afford to pay $300 for mentorship.
True.
And by the grace of God, I was blessed to be in these rooms and have access. So with that access, I wanted to just share it with the world, and I birthed Black Wealth Weekly magazine.
That's wonderful.
And I'm looking forward to really, highlighting people like you guys that are on your journey, right? Because at the end of the day, wealth is about what you do a little bit over a long time.
Yeah.
So often we feel like we need to have a quick lick or something. But what I've seen is it's really about the little things that you do consistently over a long period of time, and people need to be able to follow that journey. So I love it because it's like a timestamp. We're going to timestamp where you are on your journey. We can follow you along, and then somebody can see themselves in you and find their way to wealth. So that's really the whole goal.
That's the entire purpose of the podcast.
That's the whole goal.
We fumbling towards financial literacy here.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge facing African Americans when they are on their journey towards wealth that you've seen in your 20 years?
Oh, trust. I think that we have been, just generationally abused, taken advantage of, fed misinformation. And so, there's no trust in the system. And we still haven't really fully learned how to trust each other, to be honest.
Very true.
And the only way that we build a real ecosystem and build true wealth is by trusting each other. Because if I'm going to do business with you or build with you, I need to trust that, we're going to get in business, you're going to do the right thing, and, we're going to continue to grow. And then what did JC say? My kids and your kids, they have kids, and we do this.
That's how we keep money out.
That's how we keep money in the family, right? So it's not just about my family; it's about your family and me caring for your family. So I feel like we lost that sense of like village.
We definitely have.
We lost that sense of village. When I was younger, I grew up in the projects in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And
Shout out New Jersey.
Shout out New Jersey.
Trenton.
Jersey girl, went to Rutgers.
Okay.
So I'm a true Jersey girl, but I love Atlanta. Atlanta's been great. But, growing up in the projects, you have a cohort, a neighborhood of people. You have your fake little aunts and your cousins. You know what I'm saying?
That's my sister, twice removed.
You got the network of people that's looking out for you.
Yeah.
And what this country wants to do is create division between us, and they've done that. And so especially I feel like as we are making more money and like awakening and all this stuff as a community, I think it's important for us to learn how to build trust, learn how to heal.
Yeah.
And, the money and the wealth all comes when you find the right team. And so I say that wealth is a team building sport, meaning like you need to have the right players on your team. You need to have your financial advisor. You need to have your accountant. You need to have, whether it's just your friends that you can call and talk to tell you, some plays that's going on, where you should be investing, what you should be, learning. So number one, building wealth. Number two, building community. Yeah. And building that trust, and then also building your team. Building your team. So building that trust and building your team, those two things with your mindset, and it's up from there.
So on your journey, how did you go about structuring your team, finding and nurturing partnerships to go on like a common goal?
Yeah. Ooh, I know I keep saying this, but that's a good question.
Because I know it's some pitfalls.
Y'all doing good.
Thank you.
Y'all doing good.
Thank you.
So first of all, I believe that partnership is key. You know, like wealth building is literally a team sport. Money is not meant to be sitting. Money is not meant to be stagnant. I don't need to make all the money. You know what I'm saying? I can be the main person that brings in the money, but then the people in my network is your goal. You know, your goal should be to see what money you can get from this situation, right? And for us to have a relationship to where as though I'm not mad at you making money off this situation because that's what we're here for. And the money is everywhere and we can all share in this. So, you know, I think that when you align with the right people, sometimes it doesn't have to be said, you know, like what's understood doesn't have to be said type of energy. But sometimes it do have to be said because we're all growing, we're all in our journey. And so like to make things clear, let's talk to a lawyer. Let's put this down on paper. What happens if it works? What happens if it doesn't work? You know what I'm saying? So that now we can all have expectations, and when the emotions become involved, we can revert back to these expectations.
That ain't what the contract said. Gotcha.
That's why bylaws are important, y'all.
That fine print.
Man, when you getting into partnership, it bylaws, it's not a I don't trust you situation, but like Shaniqua said, it's just to have it on paper and always revert back to, so you got that understanding, because every day we got different things going on and we forget things. You know what I mean? It just happens. We're natural. We're humans.
Very true.
So to have things on paper, structured legally, it just always gives you a good point of reference to, you know that, okay, cool. This is actually the foundation. Let's get back to our foundation and then continue to build from there.
Exactly.
Sure. So
I'm sure scaling is a huge part of like what you do. How would you suggest a new entrepreneur approach scaling their business? Or would you tell them to wait on scaling?
Well, everything that we are trying to work towards really has the same formula. Starts off with building a solid foundation. So whether you're building wealth, whether you're building a business, whether you're building your spirituality, you know what I'm saying? Like everything has the same principles. So I think that I would say first work on your foundation. And when it comes to business, like you said, those bylaws, having your paperwork in order, setting your intentions, because entrepreneurship is not easy.
No, it's not.
And you know, when the hard times come, you want to once again have a place to go back to say, hey, this was the mission. This is what we said we were going to do. This was, you know what I'm saying? So I think the first thing is going to be to have that, you know, have your paperwork in order, and then test the market. You know, test the market before you do a whole lot of investing. More often than not, what I see is people will put all of their eggs in this basket. Now you've invested. Now you're tired, and you might not be producing the fruit that you want, but that's because you didn't properly test the market. So it's okay to test the market for 3 months, for 6 months, to see if your idea is actually real. And then once you find that thing that clicks, that's when you take your all and throw your all into it. Like Nipsey Hussle said, all money in. Once you found that thing that you can be all money in on, but if you're going all money in on a wish or a dream, that's very risky. And so as studious investors, we do have to learn how to hedge our risks.
Studious investors. That is different from a regular investor. You got to be a studious investor.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
Because guess what? Business is a 50-50 chance. 50% that you're going to win, 50% that you're going to lose.
Tell them about it.
And if you're going to lose, are you losing everything?
You're right.
And hopefully all you lose is money. But losing can also break your spirit too. And one thing I've learned through this entrepreneurial journey is that business is spiritual.
Right.
Like that's like entrepreneurship is spiritual. And so you have to learn how to tap into that spirit and not allow what you're going through in business or as an entrepreneur, as an investor, even in your relationships. If you're married, what you're going through in your marriage, you have to learn through life how to not let those things break your spirit. But yeah, once you find a thing that works, you pour more money on it, advertising, and scale to the moon.
And now we talking about getting ourselves from, we shifting from the scarcity mindset into an abundance thinking mindset. So I know you talk about that and the importance of it through podcasts and magazine. So I would like for you to let our audience know what are some mindset shifts, because that's one of our biggest topics that we talk about here a lot, because it starts with there. Like if your mind is not right, none of this information we even give out matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you will just tune it all out. So
Can't exercise it.
how does it impact having that mind shift of abundance? How does it impact the ability to grow wealth?
Man, your mind is the wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only live in, first of all, we have to understand that we're living in the past, right? So, like, we're right here in the present, but this present moment is creating our future. But when we woke up this morning, everything that we know and knew was our past.
You snap.
And so if you don't realize that, you can kind of get stuck sometimes and in the past. You literally, today, you're stuck in the past because you're mad at something that didn't happen yesterday. So the first thing is understanding that everything that you have today is because of the person that you were in the past. And that everything that you want in the future is all about the person who you are today and what you're willing to do consistently to get it. So that's the first mindset shift that you need to make. Secondly, I would say you need to have a plan, right? So, you know, the plan can literally be putting $100 away a month. But what happens with your mind as you start to continue to put $100 away, you start to feel more confident, right? You look up one day and you're like, oh, I got $5,000 in the bank. I could, you know, I feel comfortable. Now, one day that $5,000 turns into $100,000.
Yep.
I got $100,000 in the bank. I'm walking into work a little different.
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I might be a little more cocky.
Yeah, your whole
I might be a
aura
little
shifts.
more. Your whole aura shifts because you're not in a I need anything.
Facts.
Right? You're in more of an abundant mindset. So the whole key is all about building your own confidence so that you have that aura. And once you have that aura, you just attract everything to you.
Tell them.
You know, of course, we gotta learn how to budget. We gotta learn all the things, right? I know that's what people want to hear. But the real is that once you master yourself and once you master your confidence and your aura, and you know, you literally just call and attract things into your life.
That's it.
Speaking on confidence, maybe you can use like your real estate experience for an example. How did you gain your confidence back after taking a loss like that?
It's a slow walkers.
This still a hurt. I'm still. I still feel it. As you can see, I'm still hurt.
Yeah.
Right. I'm hurt. And I was hurt. Yesterday, me was hurt.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. And that's how we got to reframe it because going forward, I do know that I'm going to get back into investing in real estate. I still own real estate and stuff, but I tried to do my first I did my first new construction last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was the biggest project I've ever done. I spent 6 figures of my own money. So it was scary. And things normally come easy for me. Things have always kind of come easy for me. And I'm like, well, God, if this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing, you could have taught me a different way. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes God come through your money.
Oh, man.
And he will shift you in the right direction by, you know, your production, right? Because when you sow a seed, it's supposed to, you know, give you fruit. If there's no harvest coming, then I'm not doing something right. You know, and I don't know if it's the seed, I don't know if it's the soil, I don't know if it's the place where I'm planted, but I need to figure it out.
And sometimes your harvest is just in the lesson itself.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or honestly, you could just be so eager to see the growth of the harvest that you peeling back and taking away.
You checking a little too soon.
You know, too soon. And every time you pull that soil back and you expose that
expose the seed,
it's not going to grow.
Yeah, now you've destroyed the whole process.
There you go.
And so that's the thing what I had to understand is that this is a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? Me taking a loss is not, it doesn't mean that I'm a losing investor.
Right.
I just lost.
Yeah.
But it teaches me risk management. It teaches me better due diligence. And like we said before, if I just stop here and never do real estate again, it would be a loss because I wouldn't take that knowledge that I learned.
Facts.
And so here's the 2 things about knowledge. You're either going to learn on the job, right? You're either going to learn while doing it, or you're going to pay somebody to give you the shortcut.
Right.
I could have paid somebody $20,000 to come and consult with me on this project, and I chose not to. I had to pay 6 figures to learn the lessons that I needed to learn. And when I knew I could have paid somebody 20 to just do it up front, right? So sometimes we think we're saving ourselves money in the short term, and really we're just delaying the gratification of learning a lesson or taking that profit, making it work. So yeah, I really, the way that I keep myself going, especially in the real estate space, is number one, I look back at the principles, and the principles have nothing to do with me. So I'm letting it go.
Facts.
I'm just letting it go. You know, I'm not internalizing that I'm wrong or anything. I take responsibility for my actions, and I'm like, all right, okay, cool. You know, we're gonna do it again when I build up that confidence thing. Is I'm not gonna go into a project scared.
Right.
You know, but maybe I do. Maybe you do need to go into things a little scared, because it'll put on that thinking cap a little more.
Yeah.
Make you a little precautious.
Yeah, make you a little bit more cautious. So sometimes you have to learn that, and that was good for me at that time, because I'm also learning people, right?
Yeah.
I told you guys that I'm recently going through divorce, and so
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm learning people, and the only way you're gonna learn is to learn.
Sure.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't internalize the losses with me being who I am. I know who I am. I know whose I am, and I know what he's promised to me.
Sure.
And I just talk to him like, listen, this what you said.
Check it out, homie.
And it's my understanding that you can't lie to me. So what we doing here?
Right. So you lived a bunch of lives so far.
I have.
From depending on whether you was on Wall Street or you doing your magazine, the podcast, or even now with the real estate. What transferable skills were you able to take from one area to the next, and how important are transferable skills in entrepreneurship and business?
Yeah, that's so good. So I had a conversation with my mom this weekend, and I'm working on having her come in and take over some things in my business. And she said to me, I want you to have one thing that you focus on. And I'm like, well, I've been in finance for 17 years. I started out on Wall Street. I still work in finance and do financial services. But I'm like, but at the end of the day, it's not about what I do. It's about me. So everything is about you. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, what was the question again?
No, just about transferable skills.
Transferable skills. So the biggest transferable skill that I learned, I try to tell my mom, is self-mastery. I think that self-mastery is the key to everything, because you're going to be able to take that on a job, right? If you have to be humble enough and go work a job and, have a boss after entrepreneurship, that skill is going to help you when you are on your next level and you need to talk to a CEO of a company. It's going to help you when you need to talk to the trash man of the company, right? So I think that self-mastery is probably the number one transferable skill, and communication. If you're going to focus on anything, self-mastery, communication, and you can literally build anything with those two things, especially in this age of AI and where we're going with AI, people are going to crave real connection.
Sure.
So if you're connected with yourself and you can connect with other people, that's all you need.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So I want to shift gears a little bit, because going through just reading things about you, you talk about the 7 pillars of wealth, and we just recently got out of a wonderful month of March where we highlight Black history, that's February. We highlighting women's history, still Black women, and we had a phenomenal group of women on in our podcast last month, and I want to talk about the 7 pillars because that's what you teach women. So can you briefly break that down, what those pillars are and how you facilitate women into implementing those 7 pillars into building their wealth?
I love that. Yes. So what I've found through my 20 years of experience is that, everything is marketed towards women. And it's like, why? You know why? Because we're the biggest spenders.
I knew why.
And the smartest.
We are the smartest.
Smartest spenders.
But women are, especially Black women, we're the number one growing race of entrepreneurs. We are the most educated in the country.
Killing it.
And so as a Black woman, you know, and looking at the prior, you know, past women and past generations, I've just seen some disconnects. And so I really just found a passion for helping women, you know, number one, unlock their unlimited earning potential, and then be able to grow wealth and really live life on their terms. That's really the whole goal of freedom, right? It's to live life on our terms.
For facts.
So the 7 pillars of wealth that I take a person through is number one, mindset. So building that abundance mindset like we talked about. Number 2 is that we have to learn how to invest, right? And so whether you're investing into yourself, if you have a mentorship, or you're investing into stock market or real estate, we need to figure out what those vehicles look like that you're going to invest in. Because I tell my son this, if you save $1 today, it'll save you tomorrow. And so often Black women, and I think Black people in general, we're just so programmed for instant gratification that we don't think about the future. So definitely learning how to invest, picking your vehicles and which way you're going to do that. Third is going to be debt and credit leveraging. We have been taught that credit is bad.
Right.
You know, people think, you know, like, oh, I'm going to get my tax refund check and pay my debt down. My sister, my sister, 25 years old, that's exactly what she told me this year. I said, well, you're going to pay your debt off. Why are you looking at paying off your debt? Do you have $20,000 in the bank? No. So, okay, well, you're getting $8,000 tax refund. Why don't you put 5 and save it versus trying to use all of that to pay off your debt? Because if you lose your job tomorrow, how long are you going to be able to survive? Like, what does your emergency fund look like if your job says, she's like, oh, well, I feel confident, da-da-da-da. So do those people that work for the government.
No, for real.
Those 30,000 people that just received a notice. You know what I'm saying?
Or in the DOE.
DOE, done.
Yeah.
Right? And now they're probably going to have to go and get a contract with Amazon. They're going to lose their pension. They're going to lose their vesting and all of that. So I teach people that it's important that you learn how to, number one, become friends with credit, manage your debt.
I like that.
And then, you know, take every dollar of credit that you have and figure out how you can make more money on that. One mindset block that I want to unlock for somebody right now when it comes to using debt to grow your business.
Okay, down low. Talk to him.
Let's go. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If I gave you $100, right? Let's say you needed $100 to start a business. And I was said, okay, I'll give you $100, but you got to pay me back $200. You know, with this $100, you're going to go and make $5. Would you take that deal?
I would.
Okay, why would you take that deal?
One, because I would know exactly where to put the money in order to compound interest.
Okay.
To pay you back and have more.
Okay, cool. And you're going to have $300 profit.
Correct.
Out of nowhere. You took $100 and made $300. You took $100 that you didn't have and turned it into $300.
Facts.
So you took nothing and turned it into $300. That's like a miracle.
And I built a relationship. Because now you trust me with $100.
And we built a relationship, right?
That's a good point.
Now, look at this though. If you gave me back $100 in interest, that means you paid me 100% interest on that money.
Yep.
But was it a smart investment for you?
In reality, no.
Why not?
Because
it's a high interest rate.
Yeah. One, it's a very high interest rate. So my return has to be double that in order to even break even.
But your return on what? When you started, how much did you start with?
0.
And you ended with 300.
Yeah.
You started with 0, you ended with 300. So what's wrong with you paying me 100% interest if you made 300 out of thin air?
I mean,
but you could do it again with 3,000?
You can. Yeah. I mean, and I guess, so what's your point is
my point is that interest is not all that important when you have the vehicle that you can take that money and create profit with it.
Gotcha.
That's the point that I try to teach people, because we get so wrapped up around these terms that we don't truly understand. We don't truly understand business. We don't truly understand profit. And a lot of times, even when people are in business, they don't even understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
So teaching people that interest is not bad, You just have to know where you're investing, that it's going to give you the proper return, and you have to learn better money management.
No, I feel you. I feel you on that. I definitely, you definitely changed my idea on that, because one thing that I kind of like fall back and be like, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, is interest. But I understand if you know where to get it and how to attract it, interest shouldn't be a problem. Of course, you want to stay in something favorable. You don't want to just be on some,
you don't want to get taken advantage of.
Yeah, of course. But
if you can literally get, it might take you 10 years to save $10,000.
Right.
But if you can go to the bank and get $10,000 today, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But of course, responsibly. So I'm not telling nobody to get into debt. Not doing that. Don't invest money that you don't have. Everything is 50-50 chance you can win or you can lose. But cool. So we said mindset, investing, credit and debt, life insurance. Life insurance is a big thing that we kind of shy away from in the Black community. Everybody gonna die.
Everybody gonna die.
That's
a guarantee.
Life insurance is the cheapest way to leave a legacy to your family.
Of course.
I've seen that it's like one of the cheapest ways to protect your legacy as well. I want to, let people know, especially as with Trump in office and all the stuff that they're doing with the government, we have to learn how to protect our money. So that's another pillar of your wealth is, building a foundation, growing it through and with your credit, protecting, leveraging life insurance to protect it, and then protecting it with like actual entities like trust, and different business structures, and even, foreign entities and all kind of things that we can do to protect it. But life insurance is a great way to protect your wealth.
It is.
Life insurance is, you can pretty much shelter money. With life insurance. You can use it to retire with. And of course, you can use it, when the person dies, it will go to their family. But if you get sued, this is one fact that people don't know. If you or your business get sued, that liability is spread out all throughout your business. Now, if they can link assets to your business or find your trust and stuff like that, everything is fair game. But if you have, like, whatever you have in your retirement and whatever you have in your life insurance, cash value, that is protected. Not even the government can take that money. Right? So as we go through these cycles of the market up and downs, right, we're going to have a downturn in the real estate market. Last one, people lost everything. So, we have to get wiser in understanding the ups and downs of the market and learning how to shelter like a squirrel. Squirrels, they take their nuts and they get ready for the fall and ready for the winter. So, that's pretty much the 7 pillars of wealth. And I think that protection part is like one of the most important that we miss. But, we all on our journey.
No,
so
I feel you.
I'm excited for us.
It's definitely...
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I like that hibernation part you threw in there too. Yeah, because we got to do better at storing them nuts away for the winter.
No, for sure we do, man. But I think that's part of the mindset thing, and it's a selfishness that we possess.
Yeah.
And I was just having this conversation with a few people because I was sitting down thinking about it as I was just doing some studying, and I'm like, yo, we are some really selfish people. Because look how simple setting yourself up with a life insurance plan or alternative plan could really help generations. Like, we really be closing doors for the next people or that person that's there now that doesn't have really a voice, but it's like, yo, I know this person is special. They just don't really have the proper backing to get them where they want to go. Something like that can unlock that door for that person.
Very true.
And then what that person does is say, man, someone believed in me, set me up with something to be left with. It worked for me. This is what I'm going to do for the next person. And boom, there you go. The legacy that I was talking about. That's, to me, that's how you build
generations
legacy.
Change.
Exactly.
That's how generations
for the
change.
same amount of money that we could go spend and not have that same
Making that
thing
other
in the
person
next
rich.
5 years.
Well,
Make
what
yourself rich.
the biggest thing about that is that, the reason that we're that way is because we live in a scarcity mindset.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're first generation.
Yeah.
So, like, we trying to be positive. We want to grow our mind and accept abundance and all of that. But we still have that fear that's in our blood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that fear tells us, like, oh, YOLO. Yeah. I gotta live for today. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that creates so fear and fun. Mm-hmm. I think people out here having too much fun.
Of course. No, seriously.
That's a fact.
Way too much.
I love a good time. I love a good time, right? I'm here for it. But, you know,
that
I tell you what.
It can't be the lifestyle, though.
It can't be the lifestyle. I mean, it can be your lifestyle when you are properly
you can fund it.
Managed, when you can fund it. And you know that if something happens to me today, I know my kid's gonna be good. That gives you a whole nother level of confidence when it comes to money, and it just brings more money.
Yeah,
you know, when you're studious with the dollar that you have.
There go that word again.
There go that word again.
Studious. Gotta be studious.
When you're studious with that money that you have, it's bound to grow on you.
Gotcha.
No, for sure, man. You gotta be smart. I think a lot of people, don't even have 6 months of emergency funds put in place. Hearing you talk about, your sister, and you asked her, like, you even got your emergency fund set up, I was instantly thinking, like, wow, a lot of us, don't even have 6 months put up and not even knowing that that's what you need. But you willing to take a gamble of losing that job or spending that. I was talking on my episode before where I had a nice little play. Right before COVID, I invested in Moderna. I came up a little bit of money on that, a few thousand, and I immediately took it out. And I thought that was going to be livable income. And a lot of us don't understand the little plays and the little wins that we get on certain vehicles like that is not livable. You know what I'm saying? You got to have something set up. And I quit my job. And so now I'm sitting there with $3,000, $4,000 in my hand, and I'm like, all right, I know I can do this with it, which is have fun. And that was the biggest thing, was to have fun with it. And then not even knowing that, well, what am I going to get as the next job?
Right.
When is that going to come in? Now I done spent the little emergency fund that I had, and it's nothing there.
So I believe that, everybody should strive to have 6 figures in the bank. Like, I don't know what your number looks like, you know what I'm saying? But for me, 6 figures, that's a little FU money.
No, for real.
You know what I'm saying? And it gives you that comfort. I think that, that's what we should all strive for. So with my Ultimate Money Makeover, that's my goal, right? That's where I help people figure out what's your path to having 6 figures in the bank. First, if you're working, you need to do it with your 401k plan. Get the match that you're getting from your job. Start saving. That's how I did it, right? And I was investing in the stock market, but then leveraging credit, starting your business, investing, and then just growing from there.
Yeah. See, I like to ask people, what's your financial independence number? Your FIN number. I heard that a few times, and I didn't know what it was.
I think
it wasn't as fluent, And
you said FIRE.
Yeah, they call it FIRE. So there's like a whole FIRE movement, okay. Financial independence, retire early.
Okay.
So like, what's the number that it would take for you to retire? Yeah, I had a number in mind.
What's that?
I had a number in mind. My number was 20 million.
Okay.
And now I feel like 20 million is too small.
It is.
Because, like we said, you think about the next generation. We think about inflation and everything, right?
It's only gonna keep going up.
It's only gonna keep going up. And so, if a stock costs $1,000, I'm not gonna have a whole lot of those stocks because everything is high. Right. So you need more. So 20 million was kind of my number. And let me tell you where I got that from. So Terry Igiomi, she is a stock expert. And she said that if you put, I think it was $17 million into a stock portfolio, you can draw out $1 million a year in dividends. That's forever money, right? So let's say I have my trust and I set up an investment portfolio for the trust, and, we have $17 million going there over the years. This person dies, that person dies, 17 people die, $1 million policies. We got $17 million pot. This pot can now pay out $1 million a year in dividends, and nobody ever has to touch the money. So that's how that's how you grow generations. Yep. That's how you free people from the scarcity mindset. Because now you don't need money. Yep. So now you can go and create impact. Now you can work from the heart. Now you can really dig into what's beneficial for you and for our people and, make an impact. So 20 million was my number.
Okay.
But now, and maybe that, maybe that's cash, but like as I'm getting more into real estate,
equity. Yeah.
That's a drop in a bucket sometimes in real estate,
No, for
but
sure. I feel
still
you.
growing and figuring it out.
That's real.
Now, we appreciate you sharing your experience with us, though. Yeah, because a lot of our listeners don't know, one, the vehicles, and then two, the benefits of those vehicles.
Yeah.
Man, it's so many benefits. And one, it brings realism to what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I like to, figure out what people like to spend a month, ideally. If you had everything in order, what would be a comfortable spending amount for you a month? Mm-hmm. And then I base your FIN number off of that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now if you want to spend $10,000 a month, you have to have $2 million in your account to do that comfortably. Mm-hmm. Now that gives that person a real number and something to really work towards and really ask themselves, like, am I built to have that amount in that? Like, am I putting in that work to get there? I want to spend it, but am I willing to put the work in to be able to spend it?
And do I need to adjust my spending now?
Yeah. Do I need to adjust my spending?
Exactly, because the work that you're talking about is now I can't be spending $5,000 a year traveling because I need to be investing this extra $5,000. Mm-hmm. So, are you willing to do that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, you hit it on the nail, and I believe you spoke about IUL when it comes to, sheltering that money. So for those out there, definitely look into these things. But when it comes down to, life insurance and stuff, bro, you have to be disciplined. So don't get it twisted. Don't think it's just, oh yeah, I got life insurance. All of this is getting ready to happen for me. Like, you got to be disciplined in everything that you do if you want to really build success.
You got to be studious.
Studious as well. And take and have, real sacrifices that you're making, not the frivolous sacrifices that we all make. And we think, oh yeah, I sacrifice, smoking. I sacrifice this. And don't get me wrong, that does contribute to it overall. But what are those real sacrifices you willing to make? Like,
like life changes for the rest of it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So you inject into these type of, policies that Shaniqua was talking about, and you'll find yourself accumulating so much cash value that is ridiculous, because compound interest is real. And that is what Albert Einstein considered as one of the 7 wonders of the world. Mm-hmm. And if you understand compound interest, you'll be good for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what she's speaking on here in a nutshell. But definitely look into those type of policies, y'all. Like, these things really help. You got, reverse banking methods out there where you're your own bank.
My first property that I bought when I moved here to Georgia, I was able to pull money out of my life insurance policy.
Look at that.
So my mom worked on Wallstreet. Okay. So she was studious.
And word of the day, y'all. Studious. Look that up. I
told y'all I was going to do word of the day around here.
She was good with her money. Yeah. She was good with her money. She worked on Wallstreet, and she wanted to make sure that I was too. Mm-hmm. And she's probably a part of the reason that I decided to go work on Wallstreet. But I always loved business and loved money, so it was always going to be in my life. Yeah. But
second generation Wallstreet.
Yeah. And I'm taking it further.
I like that.
And it's funny, when I started working at Merrill when I was 19, I told her, I said, "Oh, Mom, we should open up a Black-owned, woman-owned firm." Mm-hmm. And, sometimes not, your vision is not everyone's vision.
Got you.
And so I had to go and do it myself. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, because now here we are, full circle later. Right. Where I was able to move to Atlanta. So she had set me down with the insurance guy when I was 18. And I learned about the IUL. People been using IULs
for a long time.
Man,
it's been around for a very long time.
A very long time.
And this the information that they keep from us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so this fat white guy came, sat in my living room, and he showed me this. If you put $100 into this account, this is what your wealth stock gonna look like. This is what this is gonna look like. And he sat down with me when I was 18. I set that up. I started paying my own life insurance at 18. Time I moved to Georgia, which was probably 10 years later, I had a little bit of money. I had some cash value saved up, and I was able to pull money out to use for my deposit to buy my first house.
There you go, y'all. No credit check either. How about that? So, I mean, man, it's a lot out here, y'all. And I think, like you said, the scarcity part of it, the fear is that we don't really know how many ways it is to skin a cat and make more money or attract more money. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why, we get into that selfish. There you go.
Yeah.
But y'all, this is game right here. And we're showing you there's multiple ways to generate this. So
I got a crazy question
for
you, Shaniqua. So you've amassed a certain amount of money over your past 20 years, right? So what sacrifices did you have to make initially that you consistently have to remind yourself to keep making?
Oh, this is so good and it's so timely. Because listen, he be coming through with the questions. You hear me? it's so timely because where I am in my life right now, rebuilding after divorce, and then, having taken that loss in real estate, I had to reevaluate everything in my life. And so I'm also reevaluating how I got here. Like, how in the hell did I take this loss? How did, my marriage get here? I'm all about holding myself accountable.
And you have to take inventory.
And taking inventory of what is. And sometimes you get so busy. And that is the distraction of being a human.
I'm guilty.
We get so busy. And, you got kids, you got multiple businesses, you've got job, you've got wife, you've got podcasts, right? Like, you have all these priorities that you're juggling. And we... forget to get back to make the main thing the main thing. And so where I am now in my journey is getting back to exactly those things. And so I'm super excited to teach people with my Ultimate Money Makeover bundle. I teach people those things that I use. Number one, I had a paycheck planner. So like every paycheck, I knew how much money I was getting. I had my bills listed across the top, and it would be like electricity, life insurance, savings, car note, right? And I also knew their due dates. And so I would literally plan my paycheck for the whole year. This check, I'm going to pay this bill. And the way that I like to live, I don't really like being in debt. I didn't like being in debt. So I like to pay my bills in advance. I like to be ahead of my bills. And so that allowed me to do it, like kind of pre-planning my money for the whole year. I knew what I had coming in. I knew what bills I had. And then any money I made on top of that was extra.
Wow.
And so now, I was young. So with the extra, I was traveling, I was buying bags. I did all the dumb stuff too, right? I had fun money. But more importantly, I learned the skill of, giving my money a job before I even had it.
That's a bar. That's your camera right there.
Look, I'm just looking at you. Yeah. But no, you need to give your money a job before you get it, because when you get it, you have so many responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got to say, no, I can't do this responsibility right now, or I can't do this right now. But we trick ourselves into thinking that we have money because we don't have enough goals.
Yeah.
And so I tell my clients that all the time. If you think you just got some extra money, or you think you're going to go pay off debt, or you're going to do something that kills the flow of your money, then you don't have big enough investing goals, or you don't have a plan in place that is going to keep you wanting more. And so that was my thing, right? I wanted to invest $100 a month. Then I'm like, okay, well, I want to invest $500 a month.
Let me max that thing out.
let me see what $500 a month feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how you pay yourself first.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm getting back to the roots of like taking inventory because, automation, busyness kind of takes us away from those things. So yeah, I think that, you have to create your regiment for your money just like you do for working out.
That's a hell of a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice, but it's also an investment.
Yeah.
And it's going to pay you back every time. Every time.
I love that. Thank you.
So in the beginning, you talked about being a mother, married at one point, having two brilliant boys. I want you to just kind of talk about what that's like, raising a family while running a business, and how that can be overwhelming. And then the pivotal moments that you've had throughout that time to one, overcome that, and then find success, through it. Because a lot of our viewers, we got people that have families. We have people that are aspiring to be family members or have a immediate family.
Right.
So just shed a little bit of light on that for us.
Yeah. Life is not easy. Throw on the entrepreneurship, that's not easy. Accountability, right? Being a partner in a relationship where a person is going to hold you to what you said is your standard or your highest standard, or maybe they see something more in you and they want to bring that out of you. Being connected with a partner like that, it takes a lot. So for me, I just learned to, I didn't answer. For me, I learned to, number one, enjoy the journey and have fun. Fun, doesn't have to look like spending money. Fun doesn't look like, doesn't have to be irresponsible. But, through all of the work, right? Through all of the stress, you have to have fun.
Facts.
So for me, being a mom, being a wife, being a business owner, it's like, okay, everything kind of comes first because it has to, but immediately after is like the fun, because that is what brings me peace. That's what keeps my heart filled with joy, and that keeps me going to want to do it more. So, everybody has their thing. Some people need security. Some people need, shopping, like whatever it is that you need. You just got to find that and just do more of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Responsibly.
Responsibly. And then also, building around you. So like even my son, right now it's just me and my boys. And with him, I've been building him since he was a kid. So at 6 years old, he wrote a book.
That's dope.
At 6 years old, he wrote a book called ABCs for Rich Kids. #1 Amazon bestseller. So y'all make sure y'all go grab it.
Talk it. Yeah. You better put on.
Listen, because financial literacy is so important to me.
Yeah, it is.
And so like I've just been trying to teach him some things that I've learned, but in a kid-friendly manner. And, teach him entrepreneurship. We went to InvestFest. The first year they had InvestFest. And my son sold over 300 books.
Man,
that same weekend we went #1 on Amazon because people were online buying it from Amazon as well. But my son learned that day an invaluable lesson that can never be quantified. He learned how to talk to grown-ups even when he was scared. He learned how to sell at 6 years old. He learned that if you can start something in your mind and finish it and bring it into the world, God will give you everything you need to get everything that you want. Because guess what he wanted? He wanted a PlayStation.
Can you run that back one time and talk to that camera? That was a word.
I just be talking from the heart.
She said, you want me to repeat stuff? You asking for too much.
Oh, man. But I feel it. Don't even worry about it. Just make sure you're paying attention.
Oh, my God.
And you run this back. Just run it back when the episode drops. That's all you got to do.
Take whatever you want from your mind and manifest it into the world, God will give you anything that you want. But that was a bar.
That was.
Absolutely. So I, that's important to me as a mom. You know what I'm saying? Just letting my boys know that anything you want, you can have. And, I'm so proud because he's the #1 lineman in the country. He's only 10 years old. We've been traveling for football. So he's going to go and do amazing things.
Congratulations.
Both of them are. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy and excited for them in advance. And for my grandbabies and
congratulations
stuff.
to all three of y'all.
But that's it. It's a journey.
So I hate that we got to come to an end because, man, we've been really going in and you've been dropping some crazy gems for our folks.
Welcome back to podcasting.
Yeah.
Because you snapped.
This is the reintroduction. You always got to reintroduce yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this was the reintroduction.
Okay.
Back into the podcast
Period.
phase. So I'm glad this was the first stop to that reintroduction.
Well, guys, I'm Shaniqua Nicole, the Millennial Money Maven, and I am back to podcasting. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram at Money Maven Club. You can support the magazine and podcast at Black Wealth Weekly. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel because I have some amazing guests. We're going to try to get y'all.
There we go.
We ain't going to
try. We're going to get on there.
We're going to get on there.
We're going to get y'all on the show too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
You blessed the set. Thank you. Yeah, you really did your thing. So we appreciate that. So y'all make sure that y'all subscribe, like, share to the YouTube channel. Every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find us on YouTube. Doing Numbers Podcast. Again, the lovely Shaniqua Nicole. Make sure y'all tap in with her, the Money Maven, Queen. And that's all we got, man. Y'all have a good one.
Episode.
Love
Peace
it.
out.
Peace.